So the topic of today's video is going to be to try to fix a leak problem that I got right here on this Philips 3200 Superautomatic coffee machine. It is leaking from right up here. So that's what we're going to look at in just a moment once it gets fired up. If I try to make a coffee, let's just see what happens. I'm going to hit coffee and I'm going to press down on the bean button. So by pressing and holding down on the bean button, that means it's expecting me to put coffee in here. I'm not going to do it, but what you're going to see is water and where it comes out. So let's just press play one time. But nothing is coming here out of the spouts. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's coming right out up there. And that is not good. So we're going to stop that. This is my new buddy, by the way. This is the Osmo Pocket 3, and I'm hoping this is going to give some good detail to the video today. It's a pretty slick little camera. So anyhow, I did some research first. What do you do when you got a problem? Go to YouTube, search, go to Reddit, read up, and see what you can find out. And what I've determined is that this machine has one primary problem that seems to occur the most often, and that is that it leaks on the inside into the drip tray. But in this case, it's leaking from right up here. But anyway, let me show you first what generally happens, and then we'll try to find out what my issue is. The idea behind the video is that this can hopefully be a reference for people with various problems and just to get an idea what the inside of the machine looks like. So first things first, I'm going to unplug it. Before working on anything, you want to make sure that it's cooled down and that it's not under pressure, and certainly not under any kind of electricity, of course. What I like to do is just remove everything that doesn't need to be on the machine. So I'm going to remove the water tank. Ideally, you should remove the beans because we're going to be kind of moving all this stuff around. I'm going to remove the drip tray, but as you can see, it's still dripping from here. So somehow the pressure is stuck in here, and I'm guessing that it's clogged. So anyhow, if we open up this side panel here, there is a brew unit in there. And what I think is very interesting about this brew unit is that this sucker is actually being used not only in all these Philips machines. This is a 3200 model. Also in the 2200 model, the 1200 model, the 5400, and the 4300. They all use this. Same thing though. What's super interesting is that the Fascia Superautomatics use this as well. I'm not sure if they all do, but certainly the Fascia Brera uses it, and I guess that similar vintages will use it because Philips and Fascia, they kind of work together. So what are some things that can go wrong on this brew group? First of all, I guess what we should maybe do is just take a look inside. So if we have a look inside the machine, the water comes from this part here. So that is where the pressurized water is coming in from that water inlet, and it gets pressed into this beige colored piece right here. And then it goes up into the part of the brew unit where the coffee puck is. So essentially what happens is that the coffee, first of all, goes in here, then this lever is switched to this direction, and there's a spindle that pushes this up like so. So then you got your coffee puck pressed up against the top part here. When that's the case, the water, the pressurized and hot water is running down here, through here, up through this part, and it's going to saturate and then extract the puck, and then finally move out here and go back to the machine. There's another inlet at the top. So various things can go wrong here. This gasket right here could go bad. There's a couple of gaskets inside this inlet that can go bad. This piece can crack, this beige piece. So these are just all kind of tidbits that I've been getting from YouTube. But then also this water inlet or nozzle, whatever you want to call it, that really is the main culprit there. So what happens, eventually these O-rings will wear out, and then there won't be a good seal to the brew group right here, and therefore the water will just kind of spritz out into the machine down that little wall here and end up into your drip tray. That's the most common thing. What you can do is just switch out that nozzle. That's easy. That's just 2 screws, and yeah, you can do that, or you can put different O-rings on there.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
So in my case, I actually took that piece from a working unit. I have a brand new 2200. It's this guy right here. So what I did is just took some parts out from this and tried it in there. It's a really common way to try to solve problems. What we do all the time at work in automation is just take a part you know is working and put it in a machine where a part isn't working and see if the error moves with the part or not. So what I did is I took the nozzle from the good machine, put it in here, made no difference. I'm still not getting coffee out of here. Then what I did is I took the brew group as well and tried the brew group from the machine that's working and put it in here. That isn't working either. So what that tells me is that it's not the nozzle, it's not the brew group, so it's gotta be somewhere up in here. After the pressurized water or coffee gets out of the brew group and moves its way here to the nozzle in the front, that's where the issue must be. So let's take the machine apart and see what we can find out. Kind of the convenient thing about this machine is that it uses this torque 10 bit, so you can use that for most everything, taking it apart. That's kind of nice. I'm gonna take off the top part, and we're going to take off the side and the back, and hopefully we'll find the problem. And remove that. There is quite a bit of water in there, so I think maybe I will try one thing before we move on. What I'm gonna try is to bypass, there's a switch in here. Bypass that switch and see if we can maybe figure out what the heck is going on before we have to open it up. All right, so what we're gonna try to do here is bridge that switch right there and see if we can determine what the heck is going on. Don't see anything leaking on the inside. Okay. All right, there is also a fair amount of water in there, but I'm gonna remove this for now, just clean up my workspace a little bit, and let's get started with taking this machine apart. I'm gonna start with the top. So we just got these torque bits up there on the top. Get those all out. There is also one right at the grinder cover, so we'll take that out as well. And now we should be able to remove the plate. I also have to move this little knob here. So all right, good to go. Now we can see a bit more. So I removed that. Don't forget, as I did, to remove the knob first, and I hope I didn't break it. All right, this is already getting much more interesting. So what we can see here is the grinder. Let's get rid of these beans. The grinder actually has ceramic burrs. I prefer the Delonghi, which gives you metal burrs, stainless steel burrs. This is just ceramic, but that's what that looks like right there. Here is your motor right there. And yeah, let's just keep going and see what we can see in here. Remove that water. So next, we've got the same screws in the back. So let's remove those screws. Oh, okay, well that was pretty easy. All right, so we got the back exposed. And what do we see here on the back? We got this Alka pump. So almost all machines that you can get in the industry use an Alka pump, which is an Italian one. Okay, so it's got a coupling here, and this braided hose is the higher pressure hose, which goes then to this thermal block. Let's remove the panel here. We've got a couple of screws on the top as well. Black ones. That'll hopefully remind us of where they go back later. And then there's also one in the front that we can remove too. So let's remove that guy. All right, so we got our side panel off there, and now the machine is really exposed. Let's see, what do we all see here? So we got here the hot pressurized water is exiting the thermal block and going here into this coupling. This is what they call a record. And from that is going to be switched with this valve here. So this CME valve is a very common one I've seen in machines before. These are also pretty expensive, by the way. I think they cost anywhere between 25 and 50 euros. Anyhow, the pressurized water, which is switched, comes out of here. And this is just a two-way, because if it was three-way, then you would see it be able to exit out of the top as well. But this is just a two-way switch. Here's the water coming in, and the water goes out there. Then that comes up to this coupling here and to another valve. And this is a three-way valve. I don't see exactly where it's all exiting. Here is one exit, and that is a little bit of a lower pressure one. So that goes all the way here to the back of the machine and down in here. I don't know yet exactly where that's going. Maybe we'll find that out later. But what I want to find out is, where is my problem? Why is it not exiting out of the front spouts? So, all right, so anyway, this right here is a three-way valve. It will either exit out of the one that goes to the back or high pressure here, and that is going to this hot water spout here. So switched the one direction, this is going to the hot water spout. The other direction, it is going all the way back here. All right, so what we're gonna try to do here is bridge that switch right there and see if we can determine what the heck is going on. Don't see anything leaking on the inside. Okay. All right, so in my particular instance, I think I have to get this fascia off, and it's held on by clips from the inside. So if you can see in there, there are these clips that you gotta get to back in there. You can see in there, there's a clip, there's a clip, there's a clip. And so if you can kind of wiggle them out of the way, then you can pull off that front fascia like so. So I got that loose, and then the next thing that I want to do is remove these two screws, because I think we have to get the whole front part off to see what's going on. All right, now let's see if we can get this part off. So this front part is held on by just a few more clips and by that stem right there. So just a gentle lift and a little pull, and you can get that loosened and see inside of there. Okay, so now that I got the machine taken apart enough, I can diagnose it also by just feeling these a little bit. This does get very hot, and I'm going to show you what I found out. First of all, you'll see this is still leaking, even though we're not running anything right now. So let's just do another test run. I am going to hold, I'm going to choose coffee, and I'm going to hold down on the beans for 3 seconds so that it doesn't actually do any beans, and then I'm going to press play. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so if I just feel here on the outside, this pipe here, or this rubber hose rather, it does actually get quite hot. But still almost nothing is coming out. Some droplets are coming out, that's about it. And yet this is getting hot. So water is making it all the way here. We know that just by the temperature. And it's not, thankfully it's not leaking anywhere in there. So we don't have any leaks internally in the machine. But we do have an issue here with the head in this case. Yeah, so apparently the blockage is in the head. You can see it start to escape here. And it will escape here up at the top as well. So that is the issue with the head. I'm going to remove that. You can see the water running down. I'm going to remove that and clean it out. Okay, and so in order to remove the head, I'm just going to gently pull right there to remove that hose from that nipple. And now I can take this guy and soak it in some cleaning agent for a while, because that is where the issue is. Oh, gross. All right, so I just went ahead and broke the vacuum there a little bit with a tool on this tube, and that way you can pull it more easily. So I'm gonna remove, I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna soak both these suckers. All right, so we got our parts in that container. I'm just gonna put, let's say about 5 grams of this stuff in there. This is a pulley calf powder. Does a good job at getting rid of all the coffee crap, coffee oils with hot water, real hot. And we're gonna let that soak for about a half hour. Both the hose and the nozzle. And then hopefully that sucker will be cleared out. Alright, it was in there for about an hour. Now I've lifted it out of the solution. Looks certainly much less grody. And now we're going to see if we have any kind of decent water flow moving through there. Let's give it a shot. Okay, now we finally got some flow. So I think now, when I put it back on and reassemble the machine, it should work out fine. Alright, so I'm just going to take this part and put it back in. Now, let's see, I'm going to stick this back onto the nipple. Alright, so that part is back on. Now let's turn the machine on and give it a shot. Alright, let's just give it a shot one time. See if we get water coming out. We ought to. Very nice. Alright, I guess we can put the machine back together. Happy to see it's not leaking anymore. Alright, so thankfully we actually we got this spout unclogged. So now it's time to just put it back together, and once it's fully together we are going to see how the machine works. Let's just do the reverse process. Alright, so for that we have to get this faceplate back on. So it's important when you're putting this thing back together that you have everything back in place correctly, which is why I took that hose off right there so I can get a better look at the inside of this. So you've got this part here which fits directly onto these two round parts, the pegs essentially, that plastic part has to fit onto. And then we have to put this sliding brew group in there as well, like so. Okay, so actually after a lot of screwing around, I determined that I had to actually put this whole apparatus together on the chassis of the machine itself and not here on the faceplate. So this part goes here. Just got to slide in like that. So this part has got to slide in from the top and get mounted there like that. Then the next part is the nozzle that's got to slide in there as well, just like that. Hose through there. Okay. Actually, this has got to go on first, like this. Yeah, make sure to put that nozzle through the faceplate first in order to put it back together correctly. Otherwise, it won't work. Boy, oh boy, getting this front part on has proven to be quite difficult. I did get on this plastic piece here, which needs to be hooked in from the top and then put it into place where the screws are going to go in. Then this nozzle needs to go through the faceplate again and into the slot. And then we have to try to get this plate mounted so that we can screw it back on. Uh-oh. Boy, that was a lot of monkeying around. I hope I got everything where it's got to be. All right. So before we forget, let's just put this back in place. These high pressure lines are just held in by these little clips. Okay. And now I can go ahead and screw a couple of the screws in. Luckily, a lot of these are just about the same. So screw that guy in. I think they're all just about the same length. the black ones and the silver ones. Thankfully that's still, yeah, that's still good to go. All right, then we can put on this fascia part. So that just kind of clips in. Got that in, we're making a little progress. Then we can put on the side. Oh, now I got it. Now we're talking. Okay. Screw that guy on right away while we're at it. Well, that was the silver one. Now we can put the back plate on. And we're just about ready to go. Two black ones to put back on the top. Let's make that 3. Okay, so before we close it back up, this is what it looks like right here. And we have to remove the knob again here to put the top on. Hey, not bad. Not bad. We almost got this sucker put back together. Very nice. So, let's finish the job. And we had the one long one for this guy. Where'd that long one go? The long one goes into the grinder cap. Just like that. Okay. Put this guy back on there. That's good to go. You can just about try the machine out. All right, machine is put back together. Now I'm excited for the test to see how this sucker works. Milwaukee tools, by the way, are super duper nice. If anybody who works at Milwaukee is watching this video and you guys want to sponsor me, I would take that sponsorship. Oh, there it comes. Very nice. All right. Let's see if this guy will make us an espresso now. So espresso, 3 beans, go. It worked. Very nice. Okay, so we got this Philips 3200 unclogged today. Well, man, that was a lot of work. I actually had to take the whole thing apart, and that's just the thing with troubleshooting really anything. It can be various causes. It doesn't have to be the most common one or the most obvious one. In this case, it wasn't. It wasn't the nozzle inside there by the brew group. It wasn't the brew group itself. It was that this guy had gotten stuck. And now, finally, coffee. So yeah, that's great. Thanks very much for watching. I hope that this video will help you a little bit to troubleshoot your machine yourself, even if you have a slightly different issue. It was not easy to shoot this video because I needed both my hands to be working on the machine and to try to hold my camera. I don't have a cameraman, so that was not easy. I hope that I got some good angles anyway for you guys to see the interior of the machine. Anyway, until next time, I say happy coffee drinking, happy espresso drinking, and bye now.